This is the final eclipse of 2026 already, the partial lunar eclipse in Pisces. Now, the lunar nodes have already shifted signs into Aquarius and Leo, but it's not so much about Aquarius energy because this is us wrapping up the past 2-year cycle of Pisces and Virgo. This is our last shot, our last chance to integrate any lessons from the past 2 years, understand what the past 2 years have been for, and then we can move forward into the next 18-month cycle of Aquarius and Leo energy. And the message that I got for this eclipse is really the past 2 years that you've been working towards something, building something, creating something, whatever you've manifested, this path, this direction you thought you were going down isn't actually the one. And I know that's hard to hear, but the past 2 years was God preparing you and building you into the person that can hold what's coming next. So whatever you were working towards for the past 2 years wasn't the full picture. It wasn't the end goal, and your life is going to be flung into another direction and onto another path now because that wasn't the one. And there is this letting go of the past 2 years. There is a culmination point where we're absorbing all the lessons of the past 2 years, seeing how much we've grown, and all of this is the past 2 years has really expanded our capacity to hold what's next because something big is really coming with this North Node Aquarius energy. And Pisces, which is where the North Node just was for the past 2 years, this is our last eclipse in Pisces. Pisces is all about expansion and oneness, and Pisces is known as the spiritual womb that holds and contains everything. It is the interconnectedness and merging of everything. So it is the perfect past 2 years of us learning to expand our capacity. We are really going to see in this next cycle how much we can really hold, because Aquarius is going to ask that of us. It is going to ask us to create more, innovate more, expand more. You are going to see that you can hold something that you never thought you could because you have just been expanded by the infinite, beautiful energy of Pisces, where you have been spiritually activated as well to hold energetically more in your life. And then the Aquarius innovative energy is going to come in, and this is like your clean slate to start again and go, okay, what am I really going to create? What do I really love? And what is going to serve the collective? Because that's what Aquarius is all about. But the solar eclipse in Leo that we just had was a huge ego humbling, realizing that the path we were holding on to, the thing that we thought we were meant to create, the direction we were meant to go down, isn't actually the thing. And the eclipses have really thrown us back on track to a completely different timeline and a different way of life and path that we never expected. And I've heard people say that this eclipse isn't going to be too intense because it's a partial lunar eclipse, which is, yes, the weakest form of eclipse energy, but there is nothing weak about this time. There are so many powerful alignments happening on this full moon eclipse, and if you're feeling the energies like I am, there is nothing weak about it. Pisces, this is the last sign of the zodiac. It is the last eclipse of that cycle. This is a very powerful, potent time of endings and culminations that is then going to catapult us into a new chapter. Pisces is the invitation to dissolve. It is all about dissolution and surrender and trusting the path. And that isn't easy, especially when we have an eclipse. Something is eclipsed, something is hidden. We can't see the full picture. That is so hard to trust what's coming. It's so hard to trust your life path when you've just worked the past 2 years towards something and your whole life flips upside down and you have to go do something different. That's hard. And Pisces also represents grief and sadness and loss. And there is an ending to that cycle of grief if you're going through that. But it's about trusting the path despite the grief and the pain and what you have to let go of right now. It is fully going into this blind and trusting what's coming, trusting in something bigger than yourself, which is hard because we just had a solar eclipse in Leo, which is like our ego wanting to hold on and wanting to control the path. And it is getting taken out of our hands and out of our control. So the question really is, how can we trust life more despite what's been happening, despite what might be dissolving for you right now, how can we trust life more? How can we trust and listen and receive and be present with what Spirit is offering us now is the question. But we are going to have clarity coming in because we also have a Mercury cazimi opposing this eclipse. So Mercury cazimi is when Mercury comes into alignment with the sun, into the heart or the throne of the sun. This is when Mercury, or any planet, is at its highest expression. It is at its most potent because it is amplified by the energy of the sun. But what's even more amazing is that Mercury is in its home exaltation of Virgo. So this is its strongest energy. You could not get a better Mercury cazimi. You could not get a better influence on an eclipse than having Mercury cazimi in its home sign with it as well. And Mercury is all about the mind and communication and clarity in its home sign, amplified by the sun. This is us finally understanding what the past 2 years have been and giving us some type of guidance or direction on where we're going next. So it's not like we're completely lost. It is this balance though of trusting and surrendering and feeling our way into the next chapter because it is intuitive. But then there's this clarity, there's this intellectual understanding and reassurance of knowing where we're meant to go next. And this is a really beautiful time to understand something really profound about your destiny and your soul's evolution and how the past 2 years were perfectly setting you up for this next chapter. It is going to give you clarity. And with Mercury being in the heart of the sun rules like our external world and what we can see. So pay attention to the outside world. A message could be coming in from the outside, or you're learning something, you're reading something, you're hearing something from someone, and that is going to change your mindset. It's going to give you the clarity and it's going to get you excited for what's coming. Whatever signs, synchronicities you see in your outside external world, it's really leading you somewhere right now. But it can be shocking, it can be disruptive, and it can be chaotic because Uranus is also making a T-square to the Mercury cazimi and the eclipse. So this is really some type of shocking revelation or information coming in that you would have never thought on your own. You would have never expected it, and you would have never entertained it otherwise. So it is something coming in from the external, from the outside, that you're like, wow, I would have never thought of it like this. I would have never thought my path would be going down in this direction. Something else is leading you, something else is moving you into a different direction, but it's something that your ego has never allowed as well, because we just had the South Node in Leo, which is all about how our ego was holding us back or stifling our expression and breaking free from that. And Uranus is the planet of breaking free and shaking up and breakthroughs. So there is going to be some huge revelations for a lot of people, but it is going to be intense and bizarre and unusual and pushing your limits of what you thought was possible. But that is the gift of Pisces. It is the expansion. It is the realization that there is an infinite amount of timelines and you can choose whatever one you want, and there is no limits on what your ego might have told you. And that ego story that you've held for a long time, that is dissolving now. And that can be hard, but this is all for your soul's evolution. This is what is destined to happen. And we're moving into Aquarius energy now for the next 18 months. And this is going to be something so unusual and different from the way you thought things were, from the way you thought your life was going to go. And that is going to force you to shift your path in some dramatic way, because Uranus has that influence there. It can be some dramatic change that you never thought you'd make, but that is also the last gift of Pisces, is like, push your limits, be more expansive than you thought you could be, hold more than you thought you could, and shed and dissolve those limits off yourself, that you can actually hold more. You can hold all these dreams and this diversion that's happening with all our lives is so divine. It is the energy of the divine going, okay, so for your next chapter of your soul's evolution, we're going to throw you off this path that you've been on for the past 2 years and throw you onto something completely new. And the eclipses are so perfectly laid out that the first one in Leo was all about our ego dissolving that story of what our life was meant to be and all those limits that we held on ourselves. And then we're having this Pisces eclipse that is really opening it up and going, wow, this is going to be so much more expansive than I thought. It's going to be so different to what I had initially anticipated. And I'm so excited for this new chapter because it's something that I couldn't have possibly planned. It is something that the ego and my little human mind couldn't have made up itself. This is when God comes in and lays it out for you. And that is the magic of eclipse season. That is the magic of Pisces. And that is the last gift of Pisces before we click over into Aquarius energy, where the energy is going to completely shift. This is when we're going to start locking in and creating the new earth and really honing your skills of everything that you've learnt, of what you have to offer the world and what you are going to contribute and what role you're going to play on this collective scale of how we're going to help humanity, how we are going to help the planet as a whole. And I love that Mercury Cazimi is here as well, because that is going to help us get clarity of what God is actually laying out for us. We are seeing something ahead of us. We are seeing at least a few steps in front of what we're actually working towards and this new path that we're being led down. We also have a fixed star, we also call it the winter star, making a conjunction to this full moon. And this is a powerful predictor of major life events and changes and upheavals, but in a positive light most of the time with this particular fixed star. And this is when some type of revelation is going to change how we think about things in an irreversible way. We cannot go back after this eclipse. And it's exactly what Aquarius energy actually wants. Like, be unique, be different, be out of the box, do something you've never done before, dare to be different, dare to stand out and break out of the status quo. So there's so many different things coming in and supporting us. But because Uranus is making a T-square to all of this energy, it is probably going to be disruptive, but disruptive for the better. It is the shake-up that you need. It is the shake-up that your ego needs to let yourself actually surrender into this new path that you're being led down now, and letting yourself let go of the past 2 years and whatever you've worked towards, and knowing that that energy that you poured into creating whatever you were creating for the past 2 years, like, none of that was wasted. It was all preparation for holding more, for attracting something bigger and better and more expansive as we're entering this Aquarius innovation, new earth kind of era, the age of Aquarius that we're in. And it's going to blow our minds because we have Uranus in Gemini. Gemini is the sign of mind. Then we have Mercury Cazimi, and Mercury rules the mind. And then this fixed star is also associated with intelligence and spiritual and artistic and scientific innovation. So it is so much clarity coming in on every level. Pisces is bringing us the intuitive knowing. Mercury Cazimi is bringing us the intellectual knowing that we're on the right track. And it's whatever's coming, whatever manifests is going to blow your mind. And it's already blown my mind, the things that are happening in my life, of how good this eclipse energy can line things up for you. And it can cause so much resistance and freaking out for the ego, but there is something so much greater and bigger helping us, guiding us, leading our path, and we just need to trust that and fall into it, and it will lead us to exactly where we're supposed to be. And Pisces is the visionary and Mercury is the rational mind. So this is when these two are meeting. The rational mind is meeting the intuition, and they are working together to create something and to cultivate some really massive change for your life that deep down you already know you need. There is something, because Uranus always tends to move something that's been stagnant and stuck for a long time, and normally it's our ego that's keeping something stuck and stagnant and stopping us from growing to our fullest potential. So these revelations will come through discomfort or frustration or challenging the ego, something where we can't remain complacent anymore. We can't stay stuck anymore. It is going to shake us, but for the better, for a beautiful future to come. So really embrace the chaos, embrace the change right now, and allow these new innovations and new ideas of what's possible for your life moving forward to really propel us into the right timeline, into the right direction that we were meant to head down all along, but our egos were really limiting us and holding us back, or saying that we couldn't. We've been too busy doubling down on something else, and the eclipses are when the energy comes in and wakes us up and goes, no, this is what's important. This is the path you're meant to be on. This is where you're meant to be right now. Trust us, follow us, and whether you like it or not, your path is going to be thrown in that direction anyway. And because this is the last eclipse in Pisces, and it's still a North Node eclipse energy, North Node eclipses always bring new emotional imprints beyond what the ego already knows, beyond what's familiar, beyond what is safe, beyond what you think you can hold, beyond what you think your capacity is. This is pushing you. That is the North Node. It pushes you to expand. It pushes you into a new frequency, and new seeds are being planted now. And you have to give yourself permission to let go of what you've been seeding for the past 2 years. And I'm not saying that you have to let everything that you've built go, but there's definitely a energy where you need to clear space to plant something new and to allow yourself to expand and to feel safe holding something more than what you originally thought. Because whatever your past 2 years, your past 2-year plan was a limitation. That is the message of this eclipse. There is something more, there is something bigger, there is something more important to you, there is something that will light you up more than the path you were on for the past 2 years. And it's time to see that. It's time to start that new path